What's going on, everybody? Welcome into another episode of HBCU Huddle. I am CJ Hurt, joined alongside, not by Mike this week, Sherm has been kind enough to join us. Sneak Fest, one of the co-hosts from Sneak Fest. Sherm, how's it going, man?
Man, I appreciate you, CJ, for allowing me to come back on again. You know, I always enjoy doing the HBCU Huddle, man. It's always fun to do this every Wednesday.
And we're going to have fun today because that's what we're about.
For sure.
So very, very much fun is going to be had. Sherm, for those of you who don't know, is a proud Miles grad, and I'll forgive him.
Yes.
I'll forgive him for that. I will. Like, I'm a forgiving soul, all right?
That is true.
Also, we're going to be joined by Mo Carter, the Fox 54 sports director. Mo is with us right now. Mo, how's everything going, baby?
CJ, I'm doing good, man. Just in the process of really kind of wind down those winter sports, roll into the spring sports, and all of a sudden, man, we'll be getting ready for the fall before you know it.
Man, before you know it,
It'll be football season, baby, and that's where this bread is buttered. So we're gonna talk some with everybody. Well, Mo's kind enough. He's gonna join us for 2 segments. We are going to talk some about spring football, SWAC spring football, and specifically Alabama A&M. They had their spring football game this past weekend, so we're going to talk about that. Mo's going to give us some players to watch and share with us some storylines coming out of that and out of all of SWAC spring football practice. Then we are also going to talk some about Alabama A&M's decision to hire a new coach, what went into that. So we'll talk about that. We'll also talk some about Shedeur Sanders. We'll talk some about notable coaching and just athletic department hires. Yeah. Charlie Ward, big name.
That was
Charlie
a big
Ward
name.
coming through. It's looking like he's going to be FAMU's next basketball coach. And we got a great pick 6 for you. Be thinking about your 6 black sitcoms you want to spin off of. We're going to do that in the final segment. But let's start with that Charlie Ward story. For those of you who might not know who Charlie Ward is, for when we were growing up, we wanted to be that type of athlete. Yeah. Charlie Ward was a phenomenal quarterback in college, Florida State Seminole, Heisman Trophy winner, national champion. He was also a tremendous basketball player. He was on the Florida State teams. They got to the Sweet 16 back-to-back years, got to an Elite 8 as well, all-time career leader in steals, only Heisman Trophy winner to play in the NBA. Interesting story for people who might not know the lore of Charlie Ward. Charlie Ward, if he was played right now, taken as quarterback real easy.
Right.
Charlie Ward had a couple of things going against him. 1, he was black and playing quarterback. 2, he was smaller, playing the quarterback position. And it was, okay, NFL teams didn't want to draft him at the quarterback. So Charlie Ward told them, you'll draft me in the first round or I'll go play basketball. and they didn't draft him in the first round. They didn't think that he was big enough to play basketball.
Right.
Got taken with the 26th overall pick in the NBA draft and ended up being a key piece on those 90s Knicks teams. He got to the NBA Finals with those Knicks teams. We'll start with you, Mo. When you saw the decision made by FAMU, reports are out there. Pete Thamel had the report that I saw saying that Charlie Ward is going to be the head basketball coach at FAMU. Mo, when you saw this and when you see this, what immediately came to mind?
First thing that came to my mind was, wow, one of the guys that I grew up watching in the 90s is getting the chance now to coach in one of my favorite conferences, both personally and professionally. Yes, I grew up watching Charlie Ward. I have a special connection to Charlie Ward because clearly, wow, in the early 90s, Florida State was a big thing. But of course, if you grew up in South Louisiana like I did, you knew about Warwick Dunn. And Warwick Dunn made his way over to Florida State following, his mother's passing and everything. And Charlie Ward was the dude that took him under his wing to be like, hey, man, I got you and everything. I'll teach you all the ropes as you need to become successful. And of course, they linked up. They led Florida State to that first national championship for Bobby Bowden in 1993, beating Nebraska down there in the Orange Bowl. And then after that, I remember the whole stories about, he should be going to the NFL, but they thought he should have been taller and everything else. So, he flipped the script on him and said, let's go play some basketball. Had a pretty solid career. Now, as far as everything going on with this, I'm like, wow, didn't even know the guy actually wanted to really get into coaching. So I think this is a outstanding opportunity, and he's got an opportunity to, mold some young men in a community that he's very, very familiar with, being in that Tallahassee area. But of course, I think he's from the South Georgia area as well. So, just from that recruiting pipeline from his hometown to where he's now going to be coaching is going to be solid too.
Yeah, we looked this up before the show, Sherm.
Yep.
Thomasville, Georgia, which is 45 minutes outside of Tallahassee. It may as well be a Tallahassee
You just
suburb.
said he might be a Tallahassee person, right?
Yeah, it may as well be.
Might
It's
as well.
45 minutes away. Sherm, do you think this is a good hire for FAMU? You said that you like when players get opportunities to coach, right? We were talking about this.
Yeah,
off
we
air.
were talking about that off air. That I'm a big fan of previous players becoming coaches, because I feel like Mo said, that when these young men are coming up, that I think they look deeper into being able to play for a coach that's probably already been in that position before. So now I can listen to you because you've been on that side before. So now you can tell me, and not just on the playing side, but just overall as being a man, even coming into the league, going how to carry myself, what to do with my finances, all this stuff there. Not saying there's not no good coaches who didn't play before, like we said, like the Coach K's and all this stuff there, who came under good coaching. But I feel like me personally, me being coached by a previous player, I think I would like that better overall.
It's certainly an advantage.
Yeah, it is
right?
an advantage, yeah.
Who better to tell me how to do it than somebody who's
done it before,
and
right?
He's got Charlie Ward. I messed up on the graphics. It said 12. He's got 11 years in the NBA. Who better to tell you how to get there than the dude who got there, right? Who got there and played for 11 years and made it to an NBA Finals. Mo, do you think that this is? It's not looking like this is a trend that is going away anytime soon, right, Mo? It seems like this seems to be beyond the cool thing to do. Like HBCUs are now out there hunting for former great players who aren't going to be given opportunities the first time around at one of the more prestigious programs to go out there and try and find them, hire them, and bring them in to give them that first crack at the coaching nut.
It's becoming some sort of a trend, but also I'll say this: every university athletic department is different. Getting a chance to work with a number of them, with my field of work, I've come to realize that really it's not so much the trend, it's more so the fit and what just works out well, what works out best for the situation. I mean, literally, I just looked up, Charlie Ward stuff. I didn't realize that, he's had a number of years as a head coach in various places, like in Houston, Texas, also in Pensacola, and also he most recently was the head coach for like Florida State University's lab school, or Florida High, as I just saw. So familiarity as far as like getting kids to college or whatever is definitely there now for him. And I think, really at the end of the day, it's just what fits the bill, quite frankly. I mean, clearly, we've seen what's happened with Deion Sanders, but also you've seen what's happened with the Eddie Robinson Juniors of the world and the Sam Shades of the world. I know we'll talk about Coach Shade in a little bit as well. So honestly, I think it's, the trend is there, but I still think it's more of a what's best for the program and what fits your program the best from a success standpoint.
Mo, do you think this is a good fit?
Absolutely. I think it's a great fit. I mean, he's a guy that's very, very familiar with the area. I mean, he's a Florida State University legend, but just because he's an FSU legend, I guarantee you he's had some type of ties with Florida A&M here, there, everywhere when it comes to just, knowing the area. You mentioned Thomasville, Georgia's his hometown. So, no, I definitely think, for one, if I'm the athletic director, the main thing is like, hey, I'm going to sell some tickets just because it's Charlie Ward. It's literally you're going to sell tickets just because it is Charlie Ward. They're probably going to get a tick up in season tickets just because of that. Now, after that, winning cures a whole lot. So he's going to have to get there. He's going to have to get some solid pieces to add to that team. He's going to have to re-recruit some of the former players, some of the players from the previous regime to make sure that, hey, if you want to remain a Rattler, this is what we're going to do. And then after that, he's going to have to get into SWAC play and really make some things happen. And I'll even add this. His now arch rival is over there in Daytona Beach. Reggie Theus, another former NBA player who let's be for real. I can already see it already hyping up, saying, "Hey, former NBA against former NBA leads HBCU teams in head-to-head battle for the Florida Classic of basketball." I can already see that promo happening, in a number of weeks as well. So those are things that I think Coach Ward will have to do, moving forward. But at the same time, you don't need me to tell you that. I guarantee he's already got that in the back of his brain.
Absolutely.
Bo, I think you just had your first headline, which you just said, two former NBA players going head to head. I think that's your first headline you're going to use. So we're going to stamp that on this HBCU show today that you used that headline. So I know you're going to run with that.
It's good stuff, man. It's one of those things with the Charlie Ward coming in, and one of the things with Mike Vick going to Norfolk State, it was something else when Coach Prime went to Jackson State, Eddie George going to Tennessee State. It's different sports, but I think it's the same sort of thought process, premise, not just to Mo's point, hey, we're going to sell some tickets.
Right.
But also in this ever-changing landscape of college athletics where we are outright paying players.
Right.
If you can't do that, and most schools can't,
right,
how do you lure talent to you? And you can do that if you make splash hires. And if you got coaches who were former greats, either coaching or playing. And I think that absolutely gives FAMU a bit of an advantage on the recruiting trail when we talk about trying to recruit against mid-majors.
Right.
Not just high school, but transfer portal.
Correct.
Specifically.
Right,
There's so much talent in Florida. And I don't want to say this, and I'm going to say this, but I don't want it to be taken as a derogatory statement. It's just the nature of the business. Okay. Where if you are at one of these smaller schools right now and you're really, really good, somebody's going to come in and drop a bag off in your lap.
That's true.
And you're going to go because which one of us isn't going to leave and take $1.5 million?
Right, correct.
Who's passing that up?
Right.
Florida Atlantic's team, who ended up getting to the Final Four a couple years back, all them dudes ended up leaving. They all left. They went to Auburn, Michigan. I think one may have went to Alabama.
Funny you said that because all four of those actually played against each other. What was it, in the Elite Eight or the Final Four?
Sweet 16.
Yeah, Sweet 16 one of them. Yeah, all four of them played against each other.
They were all there.
They were all there.
And it was like, listen, that's happening to Florida Atlantic.
Yeah.
It's going to happen everywhere else.
Right.
And to try and keep that talent in Florida, or get that talent to come back to Florida once it leaves, you got to have a person who generates and garners a true interest, intrigue, respect also. And I think Charlie Ward does that in a way that a lot of other coaches wouldn't have, where you can go into sophomore in college's locker room, or don't do it in the locker room, you'll get in trouble. But you go into a sophomore in college's house and you say, hey, son, random kid from random middle of nowhere place, Pensacola. Random kid from Pensacola. You're not playing a whole lot at Nebraska. Why not come here?
On back. And I give you plenty of playing time. I give you double what you're playing.
Not only am I giving you playing time, giving you the experience, I played in the league. I can tell you exactly how to go about this in a way that can get you to the league. I can get you there. Trust me.
Correct.
And that matters. And again, you're in Florida. There's a whole bunch of talent in Florida. I think this is going to be one of the better hires of the offseason in any collegiate athletic department. Speaking of hires in the other collegiate athletic departments, Kyle O'Quinn going back home to Norfolk State as athletic director of athletic advancement. First player in MEAC history to win Player of the Year and Defensive Player of the Year. He was the star on that 2012 team that beat Missouri in the tournament in that 2-15 matchup, one of the biggest upsets of all time. Mo, what are your thoughts about the O'Quinn hire?
I think it's phenomenal. I mean, primarily Norfolk State saying, look, we got to go back to our roots. And clearly, who better than a guy that was on a team that pulled off a great victory in the NCAA tournament a number of years ago to really, come back into the mix and just, make some things happen. Of course, that guy, I know for sure he had, a stint here or there with a few NBA teams, played in the European leagues, and now looks like he wants to return to his roots and, make some things happen, along with the fact that, hey, I know for sure I've done it. Now I can try to prepare somebody else to do it, in the future. So, when I saw that name pop up, I was like, oh, No, for sure. They did their homework, and also it works on both sides because it also means that O'Quinn wanted to come back as well. Because lots of times you may hear, "Oh, we reached out to this, we reached out to that." The fact that there was a mutual agreement almost immediately, speaks volumes for as far as the respect for the program and the former player now turned admin and coach.
Yeah, on the game, the 2 versus 15 upset, or the 15 versus 2 seed upset, O'Quinn told Forbes, quote, "I remember that game like it was yesterday. I remember running down the court after we won. I couldn't believe it. It was big for the city of Norfolk, for Hampton Roads, and it was big for the university. It was big for all of us individually." He went on to say, "But using that as a reference, how do we do it again? How do we relive that moment? You had a center that did 4 years and committed to a university for 4 years. We have 4 out of 5 starters who were seniors. How do you relive that? How do you create a roster where you have guys that are really playing for the jerseys, the names across the front jerseys? How do you get back there? That's the big question in all athletic departments in all schools across the country." And listen, that same exact thing that was said about Charlie Ward, copy it, paste it for O'Quinn, because he is he's a college basketball legend because of that upset, and because he was a terror in the MEAC when he played. He walks into the room, he carries weight.
Yeah.
He's like, yes, I know it's a smaller school. Yes, I know we might not have some of the resources that some of the schools in the area have, but I made it to the league.
Yeah.
And I was able to have a successful career in the
Let
NBA.
me ask you this:
you can too.
By him getting hired in, same way we was just talking about with Charlie Ward. If he's telling the coach to kind of throw his name around, is that also helping players to come in?
I would think so.
Yeah.
I would. Mo, if you were in high school and O'Quinn came up to you and said, "Hey, Mo, come to Norfolk State," would that matter to you? It would matter to me.
Yeah.
It certainly would matter to me because he's not like old guy. Like, most kids who are in high school right now probably either saw him play as a youngster or they've heard the stories about what he did. And of course, we have this thing now called the internet. We have this thing now called YouTube and, various other things that might pop up or whatever on NCAA.com, for example, to where literally you can, put it in and then you see what he did and like, man, like such and such was a dog, So, and also too, I figured that, the parents of these student athletes, they might have had some that actually played against them or was following them in that sense. So the familiarity is there for sure.
Absolutely. Norfolk State has done well hiring their own. Coach Vickers, tremendous women's basketball coach, had Norfolk State rolling. I still think they were cheated in that Maryland game, but I won't go too much into detail about that. I already did on one of the previous episodes. But he's a former Norfolk State Spartan.
Yeah.
Right. He ends up doing so well at Norfolk State. Boom, he gets the job at Auburn.
Yeah.
So there's something to be said about hiring somebody who came from here, right? Because they understand the program. They'll take care of the program because there's a different level of pride associated, and they know where the ins and outs are, and they know where some of the potholes may be, some of the hidden things, something that might surprise you, Sherm, or me, or Mo about Norfolk State. It won't surprise O'Quinn because he was there 4 years, 5 years, and he has a good grasp of the culture of what Norfolk State is and what they'll need culturally to be successful. I look forward to seeing what all good things he does up there at Norfolk State. The draft, we won't be doing a show next week because we're every other week. So the draft is going to happen, and by the time we get back, we'll recap it or what have you. But there are a couple of HBCU players eligible to be drafted this year. None more notable. We could debate who's more notable between Shedeur and Travis Hunter, but Shedeur was the one who won the Black College Football Player of the Year. Shedeur was the one who FBS completion percentage leader in 2024. Shedeur was the one who won the Johnny Unitas Golden Arm Award, SWAC Offensive Player of the Year. Shedeur was the one to put up all of these accolades and all of these stats. I will ask you first, Sherman, then I'll get Mo's thoughts. We'll get Mo's thoughts. it's okay for us to claim Shedeur as an HBCU
for sure.
product, right?
Yes, for sure.
It's okay for Jackson State to be like, yeah, Shedeur
that's our guy.
That's our guy,
That's
right?
our guy. Yeah, that's our guy. I mean, even if they want to, at some point, once he gets drafted in the league and they wants to say, okay, let's go ahead and I know Colorado is doing it. If Jackson State decide if they want to retire his jersey, I think they should outright actually do that. With his accolades that he put up before leaving to go to Colorado or whatnot. Hey, this man, he came in. He was not known on the circuit like that. He just came in and he just busted open for him. So
Mo, it's good they claiming him, right?
Absolutely. I mean, that's where the conversations. I say conversations. That's where their careers start at or whatever. I honestly think it's really more so up to the administration, and if the administration feel it's well, then you roll along with it. Now, the other big thing that I feel that both Travis and Shedeur will have to do in the future is continue to give props to Jackson State for giving them a start, but also like, hey, show face at a time here or there too. I think that will kind of help the situation for those guys moving forward.
you hit that right on the head with that. That makes a big difference right there too. Showing face, like you say, even if you just pop up here and there, maybe doing something for the community, like just a weekend. Even I know homecoming weekend is we know HBCU homecoming is big. Him coming down to show face during homecoming, just whenever he's able to come down, I'm with you, Mo. I think he should. Both of them should definitely do that.
Shedeur had an interesting tweet or interesting quote this week. They're trying to figure out who's going number one and all of that. And Shedeur basically came out and said, "Hey, yo, I'm a winner." He said, "Quote, I don't think Jackson State or Colorado had a winning history before I got there.
Ooh.
It's just another day in the office, another year in the office for me." And he's kind of right.
He's right.
When you think about Jackson State, for instance, you got to go to 2013 to find Jackson State's last winning season before Shedeur came in there. You also got to think about the only two double-digit win seasons Jackson State has had since 2000.
Was
Shedeur Sanders at the quarterback position. Go to Colorado. Colorado's got a national championship in the 90s, which seems like 10 years ago to me. But in actuality, like that's close to 40 years ago that Colorado national championship isn't it? Colorado 30, it's about 30 years ago Colorado's national championship season. But thinking about Colorado where he transferred to, they went 9-4 this year. You'd have to go back to 2016 to find a winning season for the Colorado Buffaloes. And then
what was their record in 2016?
2016, I think they were 10. I think they got 10 wins in 2016.
I gotcha.
But there's just 3 winning seasons the past 20 years for Colorado and just 8+ win seasons this millennium. So, like, it's not a whole lot of winning going on at Colorado. There wasn't a whole lot of winning going on at Jackson State. Tremendous fan base.
Right.
Please don't be mad, but that's just what it was.
It is what it is.
And then Shedeur Sanders comes through, and they're able to start stacking wins for Jackson State, getting SWAC championships, getting to the Celebration Bowl. They came up short, but they got there. Yeah. And then at Colorado, getting 9 wins and being in contention that last year, Shedeur Sanders for a Big 12 championship.
And for even having ESPN game for the game day to even come down to TSU, that was huge.
Yeah.
I mean Jackson State. I'm sorry, that was huge. Like that was super huge. So what he said in that tweet, I mean, we can't down him for that. He said what he said. Now what Travis tweeted was a little off the wall, but hey.
Let's come back. we'll come back and we'll discuss that next on HBCU Huddle right here in the Built for Tough Studios on Grind City Media.
I see people who look like me and were born probably in the same decade as me, watching all of these young people jump into the transfer portal and saying it's ridiculous. You got to stop thinking about this like it's a normal college experience. It is not. You know what the priority is? Maximize your earning potential for every year of eligibility you have left. That's what this is about now. These are jobs.
The Gary Parrish Show, live on weekdays at 10 a.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Yesterday was the talk of the town. It was a cow on the side of the road.
Do you live close to a movie theater? I'm just curious because maybe the cow was trying to go to the movies.
Tune in to the Jessica Benson Show with CJ Hurt, live every weekday at 8 a.m. Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Grizz Nation gets set for tip-off 1 hour before every Grizzlies home game with the warm-up show. Get the latest news, notes, and analysis live from courtside at FedEx Forum.
Who's going to be the tougher team that rebounds and prevents second-chance opportunities?
Join me, Lang Whitaker, along with Michael Wallace, Jessica Benson, and other personalities from Grind City Media, Memphis, and around the NBA. 1 hour before every home game, live at Grind City Media on X, YouTube, and the official Grind City Media mobile app. The new issue of Slam, the cover dropped, and it is our friend Jaron Jackson Jr. on the cover.
And shout out to you, Lane.
Yeah.
And you kept. Well, I mean, we knew about it, but
Yeah.
you kept this a secret the whole time.
Yeah.
So shout out to you. For
I wrote
putting
the story.
together.
We did the photo shoot a couple weeks ago here on a Sunday afternoon in the practice court. The Sneak Fest show, live Tuesdays at 2 p.m. on Grind City Media on X, YouTube, and the official Grind City Media mobile app.
Welcome back in, everybody. HBCU Huddle. CJ Sherm, kind enough to fill in for Mike Wallace. And then we got Mo.
Yeah.
Mo Carter, Fox 54 sports director, also joining us. Travis Hunter either tweeted it or quoted it. I saw it in an article on ESPN. I can't remember what it was. But he basically said, yo, if I don't play both sides of the ball, I ain't playing, dog. Nope. I ain't playing. Sherm, what you think about that?
We had this debate about this in our group text, well, one of the group texts that I have. So some of the guys were like, this guy is crazy. Like, he's just going to mess up his opportunities. My thing was that I think it's a little absurd, but it's not at the same time, because think about it. He's been coached by Deion, which Deion played both sides of the ball, plus he played baseball as well, too. So I can see where he's getting with that. But my thing is, why not get drafted first and then show the team that drafts you like, hey, I have the stamina or whatever I can do to play both sides of the ball, and then leave it at that. But just to say that I'm not getting drafted for both sides of the ball, I'm not gonna play football no more, I think it's a reach. It's a reach.
Mo, you get it. If you were an NFL GM and you draft Travis Hunter, you drafting him to play both sides, or you drafting him to play either offense or defense?
I'm drafting him to play either offense or defense, primarily playing defense, and then I give you the opportunity to show me what happens on offense. Because here's the thing. All right, let's say I'll go with the Saints, for example, my favorite team. I know they have no chance of getting him, but let's say the Saints, go ahead and pick him up or whatever, and all of a sudden, cool, he's starting that cornerback, but then he starts to play a whole lot at wide receiver. Dude gets gassed, and let's say they're playing, I don't know, either Cincinnati or they're playing Minnesota, and game's down on the line. Now he's got to go head-to-head against Jamar Chase or Jordan Jefferson, and Jordan Jefferson beats him on a deep route. Then all of a sudden, what becomes the excuse? The first thing you're going to be like, well, the coaching staff should have not had him play over 100-something plays in that scenario. So that's if you're a front office GM or a coach. That's something that you're going to have to be thinking about when it comes to the criticism if he can't hold up the workload. I'm not saying Travis Hunter can't hold up the workload, but I'm just speaking it out as far as what could happen in that situation. So quite frankly, guys like Travis Hunter are a dime a dozen, but I would say focus on your primary craft and then work yourself into something else to show the folks or whatever from whoever picks you up that you can make some things happen otherwise.
Mo, you made a good point, but let me ask you this question here, because you said if you was a GM, you would draft him to be on the defensive side. Just us watching him these past season that we have, do you think he's better on the defensive side or better on the offensive side if you are drafting him as an NBA GM?
Personally, I think he's better on the defensive side. I think he's better as a cornerback. And also, if you want to get the ball into his hand, let him return kicks as well, or return punts in that situation. I feel that his route running ability as a wide receiver still needs to be improved. And this is nothing against the defense he went up against or whatever, but I just feel like there's just some guys that are a little bit better off in that position in the National Football League that he's going to need some work to eventually go up against in that standpoint. So that's why I think he's a better cornerback in the scenario going into this year's NFL draft.
And maybe he can be used like a Wes Welker his work a little bit, kind of like a slot guy. Maybe special packages for him, and like you
Yeah,
said
I mean,
too,
that
Mo.
was
Maybe even have him on special teams to do kickbacks and stuff.
That's what Coach Prime did.
Yeah.
He wasn't on offense the entire time.
Yeah.
There were moments when he'd come in the game. Maybe you can use him like that. I look forward to seeing what ends up happening with all of these potential HBCU players getting drafted. Let's move on, though, to this year's crop of HBCU football players on the field. Mo, it was spring football. The spring football game was there in Huntsville for Alabama A&M. What were some of your major takeaways, man?
All right, so with Alabama A&M, the major thing I've noticed was really just the change of the culture, going from Coach Connell Maynor and covering him for a number of years to now Coach Sam Shade. And one thing I did notice a difference in discipline, but I also noticed a difference in the teaching aspect of things. Yes, guys are going to make mistakes because it's a new system, it's a new coaching staff, and everybody's really playing for their scholarship and various other things of the world. Well, I noticed during some of the practices that I was able to attend with Alabama A&M that the coaching staff was finding ways to kind of use those teaching moments leading up into the spring game. Now, when it came to spring game, yeah, it was on their butts because it was like, hey, we've been teaching this stuff for 3.5, 4 weeks, and I just do see a culture shift in it when it comes to what Coach Sam Shade will be doing with this football squad here in the Huntsville area. Guys that stood out to me at the quarterback position, Cornelius Quad Brown IV appears to be the leader in the clubhouse among the QBs. Of course, he's got the most experience among the QBs. There are a number of guys who came in as a transfer, and they're going to battle him. But he drew some pretty balls, including on the first play of the game, a deep route to Frank Pierre, a Miles College transfer who was all SIC in the past. So I think that duo will link up a lot if Quad is named the starter for the upcoming year. Another guy that was really solid that I noticed was Jordan Chambers, defensive back, who's another transfer from Miles College as well. And the other thing I asked Coach Shade was, what happens from here on out? He was like, well, first of all, guys got to get their academics straight, and if they don't get that, we're going to replace them because there's this thing called the transfer portal. So his motto this year is be a dog, and that's what they want to do, moving forward.
You were at the Southern spring game, right? Am I mistaken, Mo?
I was supposed to go, but had a last-minute change-up, so I didn't get a chance to go. But I was able to still, get some tidbits on that. One thing I did find from, some of the news reports and other things I read, Jalen Woods, the guy that started at quarterback against Mississippi Valley late in the season and in the Bayou Classic, but couldn't play in the SWAC championship game because of the concussion that he suffered late in the Bayou Classic. He appears to be the number one guy in the clubhouse, but he does have some competition from one of the top JUCO QB transfers in Jamari Jones, who I remember playing at Mississippi Valley for a while as well. But Woods apparently is feeling really good about being the number one guy because he's got that fire, knowing that he has unfinished business since he couldn't play in that SWAC title game against Jackson State last year. Another good guy that to keep an eye out on will be Darren Morris, the Southern Lab graduate who is now in his third year with the program. I think he's about 6'3", 190. He should be their top pass catcher for sure. Southern still have to find a way to replace 3 running backs, though, 3 senior running backs. So that will be somewhat of a challenge for Coach Graves and company, but they did recruit well, and also there's this thing called the portal, and that's about the most I can give you because, the portal just recently opened up, and we'll see what happens with the football stuff moving forward.
Absolutely. Is there another storyline from SWAC football that you're intrigued by? I know I'm intrigued by the potential explosiveness of that Jackson State passing game. What about you, Mo?
I'm definitely eager to see what Jackson State will be able to do under Coach T.C. Taylor as far as knowing that, hey, we're the champions not just of the SWAC, but of course of the HBCU world after winning a celebration. How do they handle that pressure moving forward now? Clearly, it's Jackson State, so they've been in a situation where all eyes on them has been the motto for a number of years, but it's a new regime now, so how does TC handle that? I know he lost a bunch of guys to the portal, but at the same time, he's also bringing in a lot of folks. So, and that's the thing now, with the transfer portal, we used to have a good assessment of what teams look like coming out of the spring. But because you have the transfer portal window that happens right after the spring ball ends, sometimes you have to kind of, put an asterisk because you don't know who's staying, who's coming, who's getting in an IL or whatever. So I'm interested just to see what's going to happen with them. I'm also interested to see what's going to happen down in Montgomery with Alabama State. Clearly, they're going to have a great defense once again under Eddie Robinson Jr. But will Andrew Body be healthy enough to lead the Hornets offense throughout the entire season? They were hoping he could have made it sometime in the late part of the season. That didn't work. So how has this offseason rehab gone? And, will he be able to lead that Hornets offense and really give them that extra uptick that can make them a true competitor in the East Division standings?
Mo, we'll get you out of here on this one. It'll be a two-parter. What went into Coach Otis Hughley Jr.'s decision to step down? Was that something as simple as, hey, I'm busy doing the Afro-Basket stuff with the Senegal women's national team, or was there something more to it? And what did you think about the decision to hire Coach Dante Jackson, former Grambling State head coach, got them to the tournament in 2024, three-time SWAC Coach of the Year?
Well, I didn't get a chance to talk to Coach Hughley ever since all this went down, but my idea is this, is that every year they have a sit down to kind of recap every single year with the athletic director, Dr. Paul Bryant. And I'm guessing that, between what Coach Hughley was trying to preach for another year and what Coach Bryant was trying to say for what he wants to do with this program as far as elevation, I'm guessing they just weren't on the same page, and it was probably just best for a change in that situation. So clearly there was a lot of people who applied for the job, and the guy that he decided to select was a person that he's now hiring for the third time. That's right. Dr. Bryant hired Coach Dante at Stillman, and Stillman was very, very successful. He hired him at Grambling, and Grambling was quite successful, especially when he was coming into the job and he had APR issues. And don't forget, he had Grambling as the number 1 seed 3 years ago, got him to the championship. They fell to Texas Southern. Then Grambling won the championship the next year, got to the tourney game, won the first 4 game, got some love from former VP Kamala Harris as well. And then, of course, he upset Southern, the 1 seed this past year in the SWAC tournament. So clearly, Coach Dante, he knows what he's doing. And a lot of people here in Huntsville very happy about what he's going to do with not only the program, but also what he's going to be able to do with the great facility. As the Alabama A&M Event Center is definitely one of the best basketball arenas in all of HBCU sports, and really in Division I sports as well. Yeah, CJ, if you can ever make your way over to Huntsville, man, I'd love for you to come enjoy
I gotta get there.
in there. So I think that's a big thing. And look, as of this morning, he's bringing a few people with him as well. I literally just got this tweet from somebody. He's bringing 2 of his best players from Grambling in PJ Eason, the junior forward, who's actually from the state of Alabama, and also Kentavious Dozier, the senior guard from Lynette, Alabama. And I remember both of those guys actually had really big games against Alabama A&M when they played here in Huntsville a number of weeks ago. So I think it's a solid hire for the Alabama A&M athletic program, and some good things going to happen. And when you put Coach Dante Jackson with the men, along with Coach Dawn Thornton with the women, I think you're going to have a dynamic duo of men's and women's basketball next season in the SWAC, especially for teams that have to make their way to Huntsville to take on the Lady Bulldogs and the Bulldogs.
Awesome, Mo. Thank you so much for taking time out to join us, man. We'll talk to you real soon.
Absolutely, CJ. Hey, real quick, man. You did kind of say about those spinoffs or whatever about the black sitcom. I do have one for you. I don't know if it's on either one of your lists.
Let's hear it.
But Living Single, I would have loved to see a spinoff with Kyle Barker and Maxine Shaw. I would have loved to see that. We got one episode of that on Half and Half a number of years ago. But yeah, I would have loved to have seen that. Just want to put my little 2 cents in there in that situation.
Interesting. That's interesting.
Mo, thank you so much, man. We appreciate you taking time. That is Mo Carter, Fox 54 Sports Director. Follow him on Twitter at Mo Carter, Fox 54. On the other side, we're going to do the Pick 6. I'll start mine, and then we'll get to Sherm's. The Pick 6, again, is 6 black sitcoms you want to see a spinoff of. Leave your thoughts down in the comments section. Please, we'll read them as we get them off next week sometime. Yeah. Thank you, guys. Don't go anywhere. Listen to HBCU Huddle right here in the Built Ford Tough Studios on Grind City Media.
We are in March, which is Women's History Month.
True.
And we were talking about how do we kick off the show? What can we talk about? And we were like, why don't we talk about women's shoes? The Sabrina one.
Okay. Can't go
good
wrong.
shoe.
That's a good shoe.
And the two, you could argue, is even better. But the one's
you can't
fine.
have the two without the one.
Yeah,
though.
in the month of February, the Sabrina 2 was the second most worn shoe in the NBA in minutes played. The Sneak Fest Show, live Tuesdays at 2 p.m. on Grind City Media on X, YouTube, and the official Grind City Media mobile app.
Would you mind standing in front so everybody could get a good glimpse of this? This can't be the look of the season. This is not the look of the season, Jessica. Like.
Tune in to the Jessica Benson Show with CJ Hurt live every weekday at 8 a.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
I never in a million years would have ever thought that John Cena's final run would be as a heel.
I love it.
I love it.
Once they saw this from The Rock.
They knew it. Everybody knew it except for Cody, which was so good.
Great camera work.
And then the kick. Yeah, I don't think WWE gets enough credit for the camera work and the production quality. I mean, it is incredible.
Tune in to Grind City Wrestling weekly on the Grind City Media app and on the Grind City Media YouTube channel.
Tony was the defensive guy, but Zebo was the offensive guy. So you could speak to this. It's way worse when you're getting doubled, right?
I had went through that for when I was in Portland. You had me on the team. You got triple. You hear me, Rose? You can't talk about those. You got to talk about triple.
You got triple teams.
This man was scoring on 3 dudes.
Swing, TA.
The Chris Vernon Show, live on weekdays at noon on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
All right, welcome back in. HBCU Huddle built for Tough Studios, Grind City Media. CJ Shern pick 6 times.
Oh, yeah.
6 black sitcoms we want spinoffs of. I'll go first with mine.
You put me on the spot on this one, too.
How did I put you on the spot when I gave you a whole day to answer?
I know. I wasn't expecting that. You threw.
So,
I was
Kyra, this on me. My bad. I didn't even set it up right.
Okay.
We're doing this because it was announced that Netflix has gone ahead and greenlit a pilot episode for A Different World. Correct. It will be a Different World spinoff that features the daughter, I do believe, of Whitley and Dwayne. And so now she's coming through Hillman. So that's what got this thought flowing in my brain. So that's why we're doing this.
Because I think they had been talking about this for a while, right? And then they finally, from what I read,
I don't know how long they've been talking about it, but I know they're finally doing it.
I hope it's not bad. Please make sure it's not bad. Please.
Pretty please. My wife and kids. I want Franklin.
Okay.
And I want why am I blanking on the daughter's name now? But the youngest daughter, not Claire, but the other one. So it's Junior, it's
Katie.
Katie. Franklin
Katie.
and Katie.
Yeah.
I want them grown up. They'll be late 20s, early 30s at this point. So I want their family on this now. And then every now and then you get Jay or Michael Kyle coming into the show. That's the one I want. I think that would be hilarious.
That's a good one.
Good times. Pick a character. Maybe JJ. Let's go with JJ. JJ's family. He is now the grandfather, the elder of the family. Yeah. They're still in the projects because of course they are. And maybe, just maybe, they make it out of the project. Sister, Tia, Aunt Tamara, and their families. I'd love to see that. And that would be, I guess that would be more of a reboot than a spinoff, but I'm okay with that if it's those two.
I mean to cut you off. So I looked at Sister, and then it put me in the mind of what's the show my wife watches? Girlfriend? Is it Girlfriends? Is it not Girlfriend? What's this?
Girlfriends is a show.
It's another show that my wife watches on BET. It's the Tyler Perry one. I can't think of the name of it. I think that's kind of that Sisters. Is it Sisters? Yeah, I think it's that.
Oh, Sisters.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's where I get the Sister from. I think it's on BET. I don't know. She watches it. Yeah.
I think it's on like.
I feel like Sisters kind of mimics that a little bit, but I might be wrong. I feel like when I watch it,
I would want it to be less about like them though.
I got you. Okay,
more about their kids.
Yeah.
Like I think we've milked all we can out of Tia and Tamara.
Yeah.
But Like if they have kids and their kids are growing up together. So that would be fun. Hanging with Mr. Cooper, real simple. Give me Omar Gooden.
Yep.
Give me his character.
Yeah.
He's the coach now. He's the teacher. Give me him.
I like
and
that.
let's see what ends up happening there. Keenan and Kel, it feels a lot like sister to me, where they're around.
Right.
But it's going to follow their two kids, and their two kids are friends.
Gotcha.
And so
That's a good one.
let them get into all the shenanigans, and then have Keenan and Kel both be like, yeah, we did that also. We learn from us, man. And then smart guy, give me Taj Mowry as the father now trying to wrangle his family.
Yeah, gotcha.
Give me that. So those are mine. Sherm, any thoughts? What's your thoughts about that?
I have nothing bad about this. The Smart Guy one, I don't think I watched Smart Guy as much as probably other people did. Now, Keenan and Kel, that's a good one. I didn't think about that one. I think between that one and Good Times is probably my two favorite off the list right there.
And maybe Kel's kid loves orange soda too, or loves something else,
Loves
right?
something else.
Something else
exactly.
goofy.
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah, and you
I
don't
didn't think
need,
about that.
again, it's a spinoff.
Correct.
So much like Raven's Home, it still follows Raven a bit, but is more about the younger people in the show.
Yeah.
I think you can do something really, really fun like that
That's a good
with
list.
Keenan and Kel. So
like
that's
this.
my list.
I got you. That's a good list.
On the other side, we'll get Sherm's list. We're coming right back, y'all.
I see people who look like me and were born probably in the same decade as me, watching all of these young people jump into the transfer portal and saying, it's ridiculous. You got to stop thinking about this like it's a normal college experience. It is not. You know what the priority is? Maximize your earning potential for every year of eligibility you have left. That's what this is about now. These are jobs.
The Gary Parrish Show, live on weekdays at 10 a.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Yesterday was the talk of the town. It was a cow on the side of the road.
Do you live close to a movie theater? I'm just curious because maybe the cow was trying to go to the movies.
Tune in to the Jessica Benson Show with CJ Hurt, live every weekday at 8 a.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Grizz Nation gets set for tip-off 1 hour before every Grizzlies home game with the warm-up show. Get the latest news, notes, and analysis live from courtside at FedEx Forum.
Who's going to be the tougher team that rebounds and prevents second chance opportunities?
Join me, Lang Whitaker, along with Michael Wallace, Jessica Benson, and other personalities from Grind City Media, Memphis, and around the NBA. 1 hour before every home game, live at Grind City Media on X, YouTube, and the official Grind City Media mobile app. The new issue of Slam, the cover dropped, and it is our friend Jaron Jackson Jr. on the cover.
And shout out to you, Lane.
Yeah.
You kept. Well, I mean, we knew about it, but you kept this a secret the whole time.
Yeah.
So shout out to you.
I
For
wrote
putting
this
this
story.
together.
We did the photo shoot a couple weeks ago here on a Sunday afternoon in the practice court. The Sneak Fest show, live Tuesdays at 2 p.m. on Grind City Media on X, YouTube, and the official Grind City Media mobile app.
Welcome back. So, A Different World, getting a spinoff on Netflix. Keep an eye out for it. Following Whitley and Dwayne's daughter through her college matriculation at the famed Hillman College. Is it Hillman College, Hillman University? So, I can't remember. I think it's Hillman College. I don't know. But at Hillman. Everybody knows at Hillman. So, we're doing our spinoffs, our black sitcoms we want spinoffs of.
Right.
I did mine first.
Right.
Sherm. What's
All right,
yours?
Let's see what we got here. My first one is Martin. Like you said before, we didn't see many kids on Martin, so now it's like, okay, did Martin and Gina have a kid, or did Pam and Tommy have a kid? Like, did Cole have a kid?
Following Cole, a spinoff of Cole would be funny.
Spinoff of Cole would be very funny.
Yeah.
So let's see that come around, but bring it to a newer, modern type of.
Explain and Live in Color to me.
We said we was gonna talk about that one.
Like, explain that
so
one to me.
because that's a sketch comedy.
Like,
so all the Wayans, they definitely have kids now.
Okay.
So let's see the kids kind of do those same things.
I got you.
And put it to a newer
So
model.
more of a reboot.
More
less
of a reboot,
spin-off.
yeah, more of a
I follow.
spinoff, just more of a reboot. But let's bring because now they all have kids, and all their kids are actors and stuff, actors and actors right now. Let's bring them in and see them do some skits and stuff. Kind of like how they did the I can't think of the name of the movie. I just went blank that fast. I had to come back to it. But yeah, let's see them bring in some of the TikTok type of trends and stuff on their side of things and make that a spinoff.
Okay.
What's happening? I mean, everybody know
who's getting the spinoff.
That's
though?
a good one. That's what I've been trying to think about. I don't know. That's a good one. I think people. Let's see what people in the comments say about this one.
Okay.
Here. I don't know because you can use any character in there to get a spinoff on, but who would make the better sense of getting a spinoff of that right there?
Who would you like to see?
That's a good question.
Hell, it's yours.
I know.
Your list, so
I know. I didn't think.
I
didn't think about that. That's a good question, though. That's a good question. That's why I said I got put on the spot, and I didn't get
on the spot.
I know. So I said
it's been over 24 hours.
It really had. When I sent it to you, I started thinking about it and I stopped thinking about it at the same time. I think this one here was a little bit harder for me on who I would like to see the spinoff for when it come down to what's happening.
But you got one for Sanford and Son.
Sanford and Son, yes.
All right, who's getting the spinoff?
Somebody in there had a kid that we don't know about.
Just create a kid from just create an illegitimate child for Sanford and Son, and then just boom, let's go with it.
Hey, Lamont Lamont was dating, so somewhere up in there he had a child. That's probably that child probably now. He was probably a little older back then, so that child probably had a child. So maybe the grandchild. Let's bring the grandchild in on that part there. Not the child. Let's bring the whole family tree. Not the child, because Lamont child would probably be a little old by now. So let's bring the grandchild in. It's like, hey,
but that would work. If Lamont's child is old and the grandchild of Lamont is younger, then that would be the dynamic that Sanford and Lamont had.
But the question would be, do we use, because they were more of bringing in like junk and stuff, do we use that or do we don't use that? Like,
I mean, it wouldn't be Sanford and Son without the junk, and I mean, you kind of got to have the junk from the spinoff.
But this day and age, do we really have junkyards like that though? Well, outside of parts and stuff, like
their junkyards still around.
See, I didn't know.
What about Good Times? Who you giving the spinoff to in Good Times?
I'm with you, like you said. I think JJ for sure. Like
JJ, and his family.
Let's bring JJ and his family in. I'm sure bring the kids and the grandkids in on that as well too. 'Cause I'm sure some grandkids are in there somewhere. So bring that in. Family Matters. Urkel.
Didn't Urkel and Laura get together at the end of the day?
So again, this is an older show. So would their kids be a little older to be able? But they still be their kids can still be a part of that.
There was talks after the success of Fuller House, which was the Full House reboot.
Right.
They reached out to Urkel. Why am I blanking on
I didn't know
name?
that.
Yeah, they reached out to him.
Janelle, what? I can't think
You're
of
close.
his name. Yeah. Somewhere up in there. Yeah.
Reached out to him and asked him if he would be a part of a reboot for not Full House, but for Family Matters.
Family Matters, right? Yeah.
And it was right around the pandemic. He was like, "Nah, that's not.
It's out the way on that part. Yeah.
That's not something. That's just leave the show as it is. Let the legacy stand for himself. Yeah. I think you could do another spinoff for Family Matters. Urkel, Stefan. Do Stefan Urkel and where he is now.
That's a good one.
That one would be interesting.
That's a good one. I like that.
There are a couple more spinoffs we could probably do with all of these shows plus other shows.
Yeah, for sure.
We'll talk about it off air.
Yeah.
You guys talk about it as well. Leave the comments as we said earlier. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. For kicking it with us today. Mike Wallace will be back next time. Enjoy yourselves. We'll be back not next week, but the week after that, right here on HBCU Huddle on the Grind City Media Network in the Built for Tough Studios. For Sherm, for Mo, I'm CJ. Everybody take care.